Hi, I'm Christy Pelletier, and I'm greatly troubled about the numerous errors and data fraud that have greatly distorted the public's understanding of global warming. Regardless of their personal beliefs, most scientists attempt to be unbiased in their research, yet corrupted data is knowingly being used to show that man must be causing global warming. The media then turns these false results into alarming headlines that may or may not be retracted when the error or fraudulent research is exposed. For instance, all of us have seen graphs showing rapid warming the last half of the 20th century. But what we are rarely told is that most of this data comes from the surface weather stations that were at one time surrounded by green pastures and forests, but are now surrounded by asphalt roofs, highways, and air conditioners. This creates localized urban heating of up to 12 degrees. It is known as the heat island effect. It has nothing to do with Earth's temperature, but it is incorrectly included in determining the Earth's temperature. Fortunately, the United States has attempted to remove this source of error. Consequently, U.S. temperatures do not show the large increase in temperatures in the 1990s and 2000s. Even so, U.S. data showed that warmest years in the past 100 years were still in that period. In 2007, an error was discovered in the data. When NASA corrected the temperatures, it turned out that 6 out of 10 of the warmest years in the last 100 years had occurred in the 1930s to the 1950s, and only 4 were in the 1990s to the 2000s. Let me make this clear. U.S. temperatures were much warmer in the mid-20th century than they have been in the last 15 years. Ask yourself, why haven't we heard that in the news? To make it worse, even though the U.S. has attempted to correct its data, it still appears to be corrupted by the heat island effect. When the so-called corrected temperature data from U.S. urban areas having heat island effect is plotted next to unaffected rural data, it becomes obvious that the supposedly corrected urban temperature data is still showing a strong influence of the heat island effect. If the remaining heat island effect was removed, it is doubtful that any year in the 1990s and 2000s would be warmer than the 1930s and 40s, except for 1998, which was an El Niño year. NASA has admitted that its correction algorithm is flawed, and yet no attempt has been made to correct it. Why not? It gives the appearance of a deliberate effort to mislead. Then there is the famous hockey stick curve that the IPCC heralded in 2001 as absolute proof that man was causing global warming. In 2004, Stephen McIntyre and Ross McKittrick of Canada proved that the statistical methodology used to create the hockey stick was wrong. But that wasn't the worst of it. In 2009, after years of denying access to their data, the hockey stick authors were forced to reveal the actual data that was used to create the hockey stick. It turns out the authors deliberately omitted data that would have negated their sky is falling results. When all the data is included, the corrected graph shows there is no sudden temperature increase in the 20th century. This is not science. It's data manipulation to prove a preconceived theory that man is causing global warming. Tragically, data manipulation is not uncommon. As bad as the hockey stick fiasco was, it pales in comparison to the discovery in 2009 that all of the original global temperature surface data was destroyed by the University of East Anglia's Climate Research Centre in England. This is all, I repeat all, the original surface data for the entire world. The only data that's left is a summarized data set. This can never be tested for accuracy. Destroying original data is forbidden in science. This doesn't appear to be an unintentional error. This action casts serious doubt on every research study that has used this temperature data for the past 2 decades. Normally, data this corrupt would never be used to prove a scientific theory. Yet that is exactly what's happening with the man-caused global warming theory. It is being used to justify legislation in the United States that will cost every family thousands of dollars a year, cause massive unemployment, and cost over $10 trillion by the year 2035. Ask yourself, why? It is insane to even consider such damaging legislation when the basic data used to justify it is so corrupted. This cap-and-trade legislation must not pass. If you've never contacted your senators before, please do it now. You can contact them at www.congress.org. Please contact them and tell them that unless they vote no on this terrible legislation, you will not be voting for them. We've already seen the reckless spending by Congress in the trillions of dollars. Let's stop this horrible legislation together by passing the link for this video on to others that you know. Thank you so much for your time.